Hey, what's up guys, Auto Fanatics. So today's video, we're gonna be showing the Ferrari F355. I'm gonna be doing another hand wax application. If you guys follow the channel, I did the Zymol Ital about a year ago, which you had to apply it by hand. This time we're just gonna use my favorite wax, which is the Colonite 915. This is the new can. But before we get into this video, a lot of you guys have been asking me about the restoration project update on the 355. So I'm gonna grab the camera, I'm gonna show you a little bit of details right now, and then I'm gonna show you some footage of what exactly I've been working on this car for the last year. Extensive amount of highly detailed restoration work from the chassis, the wheels, the brakes, the suspension. I mean, this is one of the best 355s anywhere in the world right now. So I'm gonna grab the camera, I'm gonna show you a couple of details right now, and then we're gonna start the video. We'll get started on the interior. Just did a couple of little details on the interior of the car where I had the vents refinished and a couple of the parts you can see here, door handles and stuff like that. Sticky RX, they are the best at refinishing any of the Ferrari plastics. So that was all that was really done on the interior, but one of the most important things when this car got delivered, it had an aftermarket alarm system, laser diffuser system, and a stereo that was shorting out the electrical in the car. So the entire car had to be gutted. Everything had to be gutted, all the wiring had to be fixed, everything had to be put back to original, and that's pretty much how it is now. The only thing aftermarket in the car, I have the Autofanatic custom fire extinguisher mount. That's just for safety, and it actually looks really cool, and it's non-invasive. So we're gonna show you just the outside real quick. So this car has all original paint. You can see it, it looks absolutely phenomenal. I did a wash video on the car on the channel where I foamed it up and all that, but since all the work that I did, there will no longer be water introduced on this car as it's in my possession right now until it goes on to the next area where we're gonna keep it. But you can see here, the magnesium wheels, we professionally refinished those. I actually shot a video on that on the channel. I detailed and restored the original brake calipers. Those are 100% original paint. New old stock rotors, so it has that gray, what I think they call a geomet type of corrosion resistant finish. That's really important because that's just the way I wanted it to look. All of these were polished, all the inserts were redone. We have NOS Ferrari center caps, we have NOS tire valves. Everything in here you can kind of see in the suspension is all perfect. Also, a lot of the screws that go inside the wheel wells, I had custom made in stainless with a black passivated finish to resemble the black oxide OEM, so it'll last forever. And that's kind of just another little touch that I do when I do restoration work. I kind of do things a little bit differently sometimes just to make things a little bit better. So moving on to the back, you kind of can see all the fiberglass wheel well shields, all of those things were restored. All of the bolts for the suspension, I'll throw some photos up here. All of the hot dip galvanizing was done. All of the CAD plating, zinc plating, black oxide, everything was redone. And it looks absolutely phenomenal now. The paint quality, you can see it, it's absolutely superb. This morning I just did a quick Autofanatic waterless wash on the car. We're gonna pull it in the garage because the sun's gonna come out. We're not gonna wax the car in the sun. And we're gonna do a coat of the Colonite 915 before a show tomorrow. So let me pop the engine compartment. Pretty much everything that had any chips, nicks, corrosion, any kind of defects, I redid. From the panels, the oil tank, the hoses, the clamps, all the rubber boots that were cracked, everything was replaced, everything CAD plated, zinc plated, polished, textured, whatever kind of was on the car originally, that's what was redone. And this engine bay, a little bit dusty right now from driving the car this morning. And usually after I drive it, I just blow it out real quick with the air gun. But we redid the cam covers, 2B manifolds, a complete Capristo exhaust, you name it. You can see all the little finishes here, down there, down there. This is NOS clamp, all new bolts. So this was a pretty extensive project, and a lot of this stuff is hard to find. And the reason it took so long is because there's just impossible to get a lot of parts now from Europe. And the 2B manifolds, one of them came cracked from shipping damage. I had to wait a couple of months to get a new one, so that's why this project has taken much longer than expected. And we're still waiting for a couple of little odds and ends that have not showed up yet, but those could go on eventually when the car gets transported to another facility. But just wanted to show it to you, everything here. We got the plated finishes, all the bolts are replated. It just looks original, it looks clean. All new sensors for the cams, the oil pressure, all of that was all new, brand new Ferrari parts. New O2 sensors, new cats, new clamps, everything was redone, okay, on the back of the car. So this is like really, really a showpiece is when you pop the rear bonnet on these things, and you kind of look at what's underneath the rear hatch. So you can see the paint quality is incredible. This is original Glazerite single stage paint, Rosso Corso. So we're gonna get the car in the garage. We don't wanna have the paint hot, and we're gonna do a video, so stick around if you wanna hang out. I'll probably show you half the car we're gonna wax and show you a couple of the techniques that I showed in the channel before on how to do the Colonite 915, and I think it's gonna really pop. Add a little bit of protection because the car hasn't been waxed in over a year. It was very, very dusty, really, really dirty from working on it for a number of months because it was at the dealer. It was at another facility up north. It was in, my home garage working on it, doing a real mechanical restoration of the engine bay and everything else. So we're gonna get started on the video in a couple of moments. All right, guys, before we get started, I just wanna show you on my table what we're gonna be using today. So these are the Griot's Garage PFM wax removal towels. So they have different types of a loop microfiber on both sides. These seem to be my favorite wax removal towel, especially when using 915. A lot of guys have used 915, and I think, like I said, if they haven't followed my techniques, they're having some struggles with it. It is one of the easiest and most rewarding waxes you're going to apply. Over here, we have another Chemical Guys microfiber. I have two of them, actually. This is going to be, if I miss any spots, we're going to hit it with this. This has a little bit of a tighter microfiber, and also if these towels get loaded up, I want to use a fresh one of these just to go over the panel. We're going to do panel per panel, and then this is a final buff, softer microfiber towel. Now, we're using a foam wax applicator pad. Now, this is the new can of 915. They actually changed the marketing and the look a little bit, but it's the same formula. And then we're going to be using the Autofanatic 007 gloss enhancer. In between panels, we'll be misting the wax removal towels just a little bit, just to get any of the residue off, because sometimes this could be a little grabby if you wait too long. So the way we're going to do this, and you guys have watched my channel, I did a lot of this on the Shelby, the red Shelby GT350. The real trick is you want to do panel per panel. Don't do the whole car. Don't do the whole side of the car. So we're going to start out, we're going to probably do the driver's side fender, and then we're going to do the driver's side door. When I'm finished with the driver's side door, we're going to go to remove the fender, and then we're going to remove the door. Then we're going to work on to the quarter panel. We're going to finish the quarter panel. Then we're going to split the roof into two sections. We're going to do the driver's side, passenger side, and then we're going to remove that all in one shot. And then we're going to move on to the rear tailgate area, the hatch, and we're going to kind of go through some steps, and I may change it up along the way, but that's just want to give you just a little quick update as far as how I'm going to do this. Just so you guys, when you guys are doing any kind of waxes or sealants or whatever you're doing, just break it up into sections, enjoy the process, don't rush it, don't do it in direct sun. Make sure the paint is cool to the touch. If the paint is hot, you do not want to apply this. You're going to struggle and go crazy. So we're going to get the car pulled inside right now. We're probably leave the door open to get some light. We're going to probably kill the lights in the garage because I actually like to just sit on my stool and use the natural light coming into the garage so I can kind of see any of the haziness and what's left onto the paint. We're gonna buff it out. The day's supposed to be overcast today. I don't know what's going on, but I'll pull the car outside later and we'll do some comparisons from the beginning of it. I mean, the car looks phenomenal now, but it's just gonna have a little bit more glow, a little bit more pop, and you're probably gonna notice in the video that the red is gonna stand out a little bit more, and that's one of the features that waxes do that ceramic coatings just don't do. It's a much pleasurable experience. I'm not gonna be wearing gloves. I'm not gonna be wearing a respirator. I'm going to sit back, I'm going to enjoy the process, you guys are going to hang out, and we're going to start the video in a couple of minutes. All right, guys, we're getting started. So have a brand new can of the Colonite 915, and we're going to load up the foam wax applicator pad, and we're going to start on the driver's side fender. Now, I got to tell you, I've waxed a lot of cars in my day, and I still, to this day, prefer working on older cars. I don't know, they just seem to be a little bit more rewarding, just because of the shapes and the designs, and the Ferrari 355 is one of the most timeless designs by Pininfarina that they've ever had in history, that the car's design is practically 30 years old and it still looks good today. So you're just gonna pretty much go, you could go like this if you want, or you could go back and forth. It doesn't really matter. You just do what's more comfortable for you. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna just wait and get an even layer on the fender, and the stuff goes on like butter. Now, the reason why it goes on so easily is the paint has no contaminants on it. There's no dirt. Usually if you have a lot of contaminants or residue on your paint, when you go to wax it, you're gonna feel the resistance. and it's just going to make the job a little bit harder to do, and you're going to fight getting the wax off. So we're going to go down here. Okay. So we're starting on the fender. So the front fender is now coated. Now we're going to move the camera, and we're going to work on the driver's side door. And by the time I'm done with the door, we're going to start getting the front fender removed. And I absolutely, if you guys have used the 915, and I don't have to tape up moldings or anything, the stuff is totally safe for rubber and plastic. It's not going to turn it white. That's another reason why I like this product, is because it's great on old cars and on newer cars. But the aroma of the car and Nuba content with this wax is phenomenal. It's almost therapeutic. You know, it's early in the morning, nice day, hear the birds outside, and this is just a very rewarding process. And that's something that, I don't know, I've done ceramic coatings so many times on cars, and I just don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy the smell. I don't enjoy the process. And I don't know, I'm just not a huge ceramic coating cheerleader, I'll tell you that now. But make sure you get inside here. This is one of the coolest parts of this car. If anybody knows about the 355, this was one of their first road cars where they spent well over 1,000 hours in the wind tunnel perfecting the shape and the design of the car, because they came out with the 348. So the 355 is really a revised version of a 348, but the heart of this car is the 5 valves per cylinder motor, the flat plane crank. It's one of the best sounding NA V8s that Ferrari has ever produced. So when it came out to 348, like 1989, 1990, it was really a failed car. Ferrari wasn't, producing a lot of cars. They weren't producing a lot of good cars. And as a result, people were buying the Acura NSX and the Porsche 911 at much higher rates than they were the 348s. So this panel is ready to come off. Okay. That's it. So got a little bit of residue left. So what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you. So we're going to, that's the side we removed it on. We're just going to take just a little mist. You don't have to saturate the towel, just a little mist. And we're going to probably use about 4 of these towels to do the whole car. And I'm just going to video a portion of this project for you guys. Otherwise, you guys are going to be here for well over an hour. I know the last time I did the Zymwall Ital, that was like a 1 hour long video. And a lot of you guys enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. But that's that. You can see it. It looks absolutely incredible. So now we're going to go back here. And it's the same process. So if you see what I just did, I didn't jump the gun and do the quarter panel. I just wanted to do the door and the front fender. And we work in sections, and we're not fighting it. We're not fighting the wax removal, because that's probably not the most fun thing to do, is when you're fighting to remove wax, no matter what product you're using. I remember when I was a kid, guys in the neighborhood, they would have their muscle cars, their Plymouth Barracudas and all of that stuff, and they used to use like the Turtle Wax paste wax in a can, and these idiots, nobody knew. I was 8 years old at the time. They used to put it on their cars in direct sun and drive around the neighborhood for the whole day and then struggle to get it off. And I used to see guys, I'm not even kidding, I used to see guys take Scotch-Brite pads to get the wax off because they didn't understand what they were doing. So with Colonite, it's really easy. If you have an issue with getting the wax off in any particular section, you have two options. You could either use 007 like I do on the opposite side of the towel, or you could just take some more Colonite on the foam and reapply it to the area that's giving you a hard time, and it's going to reactivate the dried on wax, and then you just wipe it off immediately. All right, so I'm just chilling on my floor, and we're going to just load up some more wax. Now we're just going to do the driver's side rocker panel complete. So what I usually do is I'll press right into that crease just to make sure you get wax onto the leading edge that goes into the bottom of the quarter panel. Now I gotta tell you, this is super fun just to touch this car and feel all the little designs. And this is what you really don't get on a lot of these modern cars today, even the supercars. They're much more efficient. They're much better performing. I don't know. I just think the style and the heritage and the history of this car and a lot of the older cars like the TRs and the 288 GTOs, they're just my favorite cars ever. And I don't think I would ever want a more modern hypercar versus some of the older stuff, if you ask me. I mean, F40, 288 GTO, Testarossa, 355, those are my favorite cars ever. So we're gonna just move the camera over here. So we're gonna do this section. When I'm done with this section, we're gonna remove it off the driver's side rocker panel. And the fun part's gonna be the rear tailgate. And you can hear it, how squeaky clean this paint is. So what I did this morning, before we got started today, I did the Autofanatic Hypergloss Ceramic Waterless Wash. There was a lot of junk in the car. And then I did a Guion Prep IPA wipe. And then I pulled the car outside and I started shooting the video. So here we go. So get this little leading edge, you take the towel and kind of get right in there just like that. And sometimes you'll pull out some dirt from inside the recess, and that's not a bad thing because a lot of times you can't get those areas during a wash. Okay, we're gonna hit it now with some 007. So what I like to do is I like to hit it with 007 usually for every panel, but don't saturate it. You just want to give it a little mist, and it's going to level out anything that you left behind. Like if your towel is overly loaded up with wax, the 007 is going to help reactivate that and get it off without leaving streaks. That's what we want. The worst thing you want to do when you're waxing the car is have streaks and start fighting it. Then you're going to really not enjoy the experience. But no, this is going smooth, and it's going a lot faster than doing the Zymol Ital. Remember that video? I had to put the stuff in my hands and rub it all over. It was actually kind of cool. It was the first time I ever done that before. But I just wanted to be a little bit easier today. I didn't feel like taking 3 hours to wax the car. You know, I have other things that I want to do on my weekends. But, okay, got that there. All right, so we're moving right along. We're going to open up the door jambs, and we're going to get inside there as well. And this car is single stage paint. So what that means, there's no base coat, there's no clear coat. And I personally think single stage paint just pops a little bit better, especially on reds and blacks and certain blues. The color seems to pop a little bit more. You know, but it's the situation is it's softer. It makes it easier to paint correct and polish, which, to be honest with you, I love polishing vintage cars, even if it's nitrocellulose lacquer, Imron, enamel, or single stage urethane like the Ferraris and what the Porsches were using. But it's good stuff. But you got to be careful because it does wear out. You have to, when you're doing paint correction on a car like this, you have to use a paint gauge and really go through the car. And I'll probably do a video one day, not on this car, because this car doesn't really need a paint correction, but on a car that does need paint correction, an older car, I like to do a video and show you the steps that I take in paint metering the car, and then I make a chart, and I put the levels of paint thicknesses on the chart, so while I'm working on the car, if we have 8 mils here and 2 mils here, and let's say there's a deep scratch here, I know in my head from looking at that chart and after taking my readings that I got to be careful with the polisher and be careful with the aggressiveness here, but I could go further aggressive up here if I have to get some defects out. So it's just a little process that I learned back in the 90s, and it just seems to work today. Whenever I'm working on a car, a vintage car, because like I said, with the original paint, you want to be real careful, and you don't want to burn it, because if you burn this car, you're going to get all white. It's going to show up all white when you burn the red, and it looks horrible. It looks like you left the old school turtle wax on your paint and you didn't remove it. Okay, so that's done. Let's get over to the rest of the quarter panel. I'm gonna go nice and easy. Now, the reason I like to wax, usually with the garage door open, is that I'm catching the natural light, and I like to go down the sides of the car, and you can just see what you're doing a little bit better. Definitely a lot better than working in the direct sun. Now, if I had, you know, really bright lights in the garage, you know, that would help too, but I think this just makes the process a little bit more rewarding. And this car has the flying buttress design on the C-pillars, which is so cool. We're going to hit that area right now as well. So we're going to stop it right up here, because then we're going to do the roof in 2 sections, and then we're going to remove it in 1 shot. Okay, so we got here. Now I'm doing the back side of this flying buttress design as well. And we're going to go right up to the molding, right up there. Okay, that's that. And that's it. You can kind of see what we're doing. I mean, look at the paint so far. I mean, we're in the garage, but yeah, this car is a work of art. And any opportunity any enthusiast gets to work on one, definitely take advantage of it, because you don't get the same experience working on newer cars. You just don't. I mean, newer cars, the body lines are so flat, so muted in the designs, you know, unless you're working on something really crazy and exotic, but that's pretty much it. So the temperature just cranked up. I think it's about 80 degrees right now, so this stuff is starting to flash a lot quicker than it was when I did the fender. So spray a little bit more 007. And you'll feel it from experience. You'll feel your microfiber towel, any kind of grab that you're going to get. And if you feel excessive grab, just give it a little bit more of a spritz. So right there, the sun, believe it or not, the sun is coming in, and it's baking this wax right on there. Flip the towel over. Okay. All right, so now the entire driver's side is done. Now we're going to use this other microfiber towel here. We're just going to fold it, and we're going to spray it just like that. And this is just going to ensure that I get everything off the paint, because the PFM dual weave microfiber wax removal towel is definitely getting loaded up. I could smell it and I could feel it in my hands, and this is going to ensure that we get everything off. After I'm done with the roof, I'll do the A-pillar and the door mirrors. I'll get down here. And this paint looks like it's dipped in hot liquid wax. It looks absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So that's it. That's the driver's side all completed. We're going to jump over on the roof right now. All right, guys, now we're going to do the roof. We're going to do both sides of the roof in one section. Okay, so start in the middle. I'm doing it in a circular motion. That's just what I prefer on larger panels, but you can kind of do whatever you want. I'm actually going to hit the A-pillar right now as well. My God, this color looks so good. And if any of you guys have seen a properly detailed vintage Ferrari in red versus a modern Ferrari, you will notice that the red is going to significantly pop and just look quite a bit different than the modern car. That's just because of the single stage paints. Like I said, by having the garage open and having that natural light come in, I could see everything that I'm doing here. So I could overlap where I stopped on the other side. Now, if your car is dirty, you're going to start seeing your wax pad show up with a lot of dirt on it because the solvents, the petroleum distillate base to break down the carnauba, is going to start removing dirt, sap, tar, whatever you missed during your wash. The wax itself is going to reactivate that. And they actually have waxes similar to like our Autofanatic Moneymaker, which is a single step, but it also decontaminates. So now we're going to start taking this off now because it's starting to get really warm out. Go down to the A-pillar. And I can feel a few spots where it's grabbing a little. That's because, you know, we're dealing with the temperature. We're just going to hit the towel and level it out. Super, super easy. So I think for the money, the Colonite 915 is going to be my favorite recommended wax, and I've recommended it to thousands of fans that watch the Autofanatic channel because it just works. It smells good. And it's affordable. It's like $30 something a can of it, and it'll last you quite a few years if you don't wax often. But if you wax a lot, if you have a lot of cars like I do, you'll go through a can maybe every year, every 2 years, depending on what you're working on. And the upkeep, you know, a lot of people say, oh, the wax doesn't last. You got to have a good topper and good soap. The soap is the #1 enemy of stripping waxes. A lot of these soaps, they have a lot of really cheap surfactants and sodium hydroxide in it, which will strip the wax pretty quickly. So, I'll level this out. Now, before we move on to the next section of the car, we're going to grab the green microfiber towel and go over it. Now, we're going to use 2 different ones on the roof of the car. Being that the car, I'm going to spray it on the paint. Being that the car's got such a flat, large area, we're going to try to get any leftover residue off with this, and then we're going to go over it with the Plusher microfiber towel with no 007, and that's just going to ensure the final buff. Oh, the birds are having fun today. Yeah, I think nothing's more enjoyable than, you know, doing stuff with the garage open. You can enjoy nature. Right now it's early in the morning. We don't have all the gardeners here playing around, trying to see who can make the most noise within a given couple of hours, because it gets really noisy over here. So we're just going to go over it just like this. Okay. Man, it looks freaking incredible. The car looks so nice, you don't even want to drive it. You don't want to get it dirty. But yeah, we're going to take it to an event this weekend, show it off a little bit. I think actually a bunch of customers are going to come down and they want to check it out as well. So, and the cool thing about this project is that a lot of people watch the progress through my social media, and then they contact me, and I'm doing a lot of restoration work for customers around the country with Testarossas, 328s, 348s, where they're sending me parts, and I'm doing restoration work on the interiors, the engine compartment, exhaust system, wheels, all kinds of cool stuff. So it's definitely cool to work on a cool project, and people see what you're doing, and becomes a little bit of a calling card for work. So now we're going to move over to what I would say the most fun part is right back here. All right, guys, this is probably my favorite part to do. All the detail back here and all the slats. So this is going to take you a little bit of time, because you'll be surprised, even me, I will actually miss some areas because the car is so glossy. I have the camera on my head because I did not trust mounting it on the roof that I just waxed. It'll probably fall off and cause damage. So what I'm doing, I'm just going through half. I'm kind of breaking it up into half. Don't worry about the emblem. I would take the emblem off. I'm just not doing that now. And plus, this wax is pretty easy. And I have some microfiber little tools that I use to get any residue out from under there. And that's just some dust and pollen that's flying in from the garage door. It's not a big deal. Okay. Yeah, it's starting to get grabby now as the humidity and the outside temps are going up. So that's why, you know, don't wax the whole car at once, especially in the summertime. Now in the fall and winter, you could definitely get away with doing far greater panels, but not in the summer, not in this temperature. I don't know how the footage is going to come out with the camera on my head. I hope it comes out decent, because I have no way of looking through a viewfinder. I just kind of threw it on the mount and hit record. And you can feel like this one just glides across the paint a lot easier now, because we got the wax off. See, like the wax removal towels are great. You're just going to go through, on a typical size car, you'll go through like maybe 4 of them. You don't want to use one towel to do the whole car. You're going to have nothing but trouble doing that. But, you know, I buy them in bulk, and, you know, it's just part of it. And then you can actually wash them. So when you're doing waxing, you can take your time and hand wash them, and then you can air dry them or put them in your dryer at low heat. Final buff towel. And this thing just glides across. You could feel it. There's like no friction and no tension on the paint now. Okay. Oh, it's good stuff. Yeah, I'm actually enjoying this, even though it's physical work and I'm starting to get sweaty. But I enjoy the results, and you guys can probably see it in the camera. And we're going to pull the car outside when I'm done. And we'll do some beauty shots and a little wraparound. I mean, like I said, it may look different from the intro of the video, it may not. But I know I could tell. I could see a difference. That's it. Cool. So we're going to work on the front hood, bumpers, and finish it up. So stay tuned. I did say I was doing the rear bumper last, and apparently I'm not. I'm doing it now. After I finished the other side quarter panel and the deck lid, I said, let me just do the rear bumper now. Just get it out of the way. It's super easy. It's not very big. And these bumpers are fiberglass. If anybody wants to know, they are not made out of polyurethane. So when you take these bumpers off the car to do work, whether you're going to do a clutch or mechanical, they kind of spring around the body. You got to be super, super careful. I can't even tell you how much stress these bumpers cause me on any of these cars, because if you don't do it right and you cause a little bit of flex, you could crack the gel coat. And these are original. These are original paint. And a lot of guys, they'll go repaint them, base coat, clear coat, but it's still not original. Car is only original once. That's what Wayne Carini would always say on Chasing Classic Cars. And it's true. Car is only original once. So you'll notice if you go to a lot of auctions and you see like Ferraris up for auction, you'll see a lot of cars that have stress cracks, defects in the paint, burn through from buffers. And to be honest with you, it doesn't really detract from the value, because if the car is original and it's documented, that car is going to be more desirable to a collector than a car that was repainted. That's just my opinion, and from knowing a lot of collectors that buy these cars and how meticulous and anal they are. So, and that's another thing too, when you're paint correcting these older cars, you know, with single stage paint, you can't go and jump the gun and try to be a hero to make every little imperfection come out, because these cars had imperfections from the factory. These cars were hand built. So you have to, you know, you have to have a level of what's acceptable and what's not. This car is exceptional as far as the condition of the paint. Truly exceptional. The good thing about Ferraris versus Porsches are that most Ferrari guys don't take cars like this even when they were new to the racetrack. Unfortunately, Porsches get driven a lot more, and you'll always see on the, you know, pre-owned market, you know, a G series Porsche like a 930, or, you know, a 1980s Carrera or an SC. It'll have like 200,000 miles or 100,000 miles. And that's common because people drive the Porsches. They were bulletproof cars. They were pretty reliable, easy to work on for the most part. Very, very clever engineering and the way those cars were originally designed. Whereas on a Ferrari, you'll very rarely see one of these cars with 100, 200,000 miles. And if you do, that's going to be a very rare thing to see. I'll tell you that now. You just won't see it. Because people bought these cars new, and they were always treated kind of as a collectible. I mean, there's, you're going to have your handful of clients. I had a client in Chicago. He totally destroys cars. And the last car, he destroyed it with 38,000 miles. It was a newer Ferrari. And then he sends it to me on a flatbed, not running, 4 flat tires, destroyed. And we had to do a full restoration on that car 5 years ago. Repaint, new interior, everything. And then he says, oh, I'm just going to drive it again for the next couple of years and I'll send it back to you. And some people are like that, He enjoyed it. He tracked it. He abused it. And then we made it better again. So that's it. Just a little dust back here I want to get. All right, cool. So we're going to move on to the front hood. And then I'm going to pull the car out and I'll show you guys the finished results. And it's actually a pretty small hood. So I don't mind doing this in one shot. But it looks like it got, the sun went down. It got overcast. So we're going to, don't forget the pop-up headlights. Then what we'll do, any wax residue around the headlights, we're going to pop them up. That's one of the cool features. I'll get that on camera because some of you guys love seeing pop-up headlights from the 90s. You don't get that anymore because of safety regulations. But the Acura NSX 348 and Ferrari 355, those are some of the most iconic cars of my generation that have pop-up headlights. So, all right, that's starting to flash. If you don't use this type of a towel, I think you're going to have a hard time with Colonite and some of the really good high concentrated Carnauba waxes. Okay, that's done. Let's grab the green towel. And the coolest part is I'm going to pop up the headlights and show you guys. There we go. Pop-up headlights. So we're going to go and just go in here and kind of get some of that residue off the edges. But how cool are these pop-up headlights? Very, very cool. So you see I got a little wax over here, and it's relatively easy. So just want to show you guys in the video. So we're going to pull the car outside now because it looks like it might rain. And I'll give you some beauty shots and show you the finished results. All right, guys, so we got the car outside, and you can see the paint. The glow is phenomenal. That's because it's a natural Carnauba wax. We got single-stage red paint, a quick wipe down. The car looks absolutely phenomenal. It's just such a joy and such a pleasure to do wax on an older car like this. You guys could just see the reflections. One of the coolest parts of the car is this whole back design, the way with the flying buttress, the rear tailgate, just everything. It's just such a absolutely beautiful car. So also FYI, I'm going to put a montage of some of the restoration work done in this video, just some details. I'll show it again that I showed it in the intro. If anybody out there that's got a Ferrari anywhere in the world, if you guys are interested in some restoration work, whether it's the magnesium wheels, I'm also reproducing a lot of hard to find obsolete parts for the older Ferraris. So you can always contact me direct through the Auto Fanatic website. And we're also going to be reproducing the 355 rear lower diffuser panels and some of the panels on the bottom of the car because they're impossible to get and they break so easily. And I'm doing a lot of restoration work on a lot of those parts for other clients around the country. So if anybody has interest in Ferrari restoration or hard to find obsolete parts, please contact me through the Auto Fanatic website. I would love to help you guys out no matter where you are. And I've shipped product and parts around the world to Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Europe. So I also go on the treasure hunt of finding NOS parts and hard to find stuff as well. And a lot of stuff that I do too, I do a lot of replating, CAD plating, the hot dip galvanizing and all of that stuff. So if you guys are doing a restoration or you want to take your Ferrari to the next level, please contact me. I'd love to help you out with your project and be an instrumental part of that. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Very therapeutic, a lot of fun. You see the results. There's going to be more drive videos on the Ferrari soon, so stay tuned to the channel and please subscribe. And if anybody has questions or comments, post it below. But we're going to get back in. We're going to bring this to an event tomorrow. And stay tuned to the channel for more content. I'll probably shoot a video of that as well. So stay tuned, and I'll show you guys on the next video soon. Take care, guys.